It is the 23rd day of Chodesh Shvat, and we are at the. We'll start from the bottom of Kuf Gimel Amud Beis, going on to our Amud for today, which is Kuf Daled Amud Aleph. The Gemara had discussed different minhagim with regards to what to end the bracha, what to say in the bracha of Havdalah. And the Gemara tells us that Rava began, we'll just see this 7 lines from the bottom of Kuf Gimel Amud Beis, just to roll through it very quickly. Pasuk Amri, he began saying, Hamavda ben Kadosh l'chol, ben l'chash ben Yisrael, ben Yomi shila shezima ma'aseh. That was the Havdalah of Rava, more or less, as we say today. Amar lei, so Rav Yaakov said to him, Lama lach kuleha, why are you saying so many Havdalahs? Why are you saying so many distinctions, so many differentiations? V'amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav, then Rabbi Yehuda, saying in the name of Rav, Hamavda ben Kadosh l'chol. If you say Hamavda ben Kadosh l'bracha, Hamavda ben Kadosh l'chol, Zui Havdalah shel Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. That is the Havdalah of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. You don't need to say anything more than that. Baruch Hamavdil ben Kadosh l'chol. That's all that you need. Amar lei, so Rava says to him, Ana kahas, really, I hold like this. Shita Amar. Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rabbi Yoshia says, Rabbi Lazar, in the name of Rabbi Yoshia, that the minimum is 3 and the maximum is 7. Marley, he says to him, this is our Amud for today. You didn't say 3, and you didn't say 7. Marley, so he says to him, that the end of what I just said, that is part of the conclusion. Meaning, I said that in order to introduce the conclusion of the bracha. V'amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, says Rabbi Yehuda named Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda learned from both Shmuel and Rav. So sometimes you have Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, sometimes Amar Shmuel. So he says the name of Shmuel, Hamavdil tzarich sheyomer me'ein chasima samach lechasima. So that whenever you are making Havdalah, you have to end with an ending that is similar to the closing of the bracha. So and then Baruch Atah Hashem Hamavdil ben Kadosh l'chol. That fourth clause is in order to be able to make it similar to what we are ending the bracha with. Ube Pumadisai Amri in Pumadisa, they argued no, that it has to be me'en psichason samach lechasimason. You have to say something at the beginning that's going to bookend what you are saying at the end. Now the Gemara is going to ask the question, and this is where we got up to yesterday. Ma beinai, what is the nafkamina between these two opinions? Ike beinai, there is in fact a nafkamina between these opinions. This is what we have been speaking about for the last daf, which is If you have a Yom Tov that comes immediately after Shabbos, the Chasima son ben Kodesh leKodesh, because there the Chasima is not going to be Hamavdil ben Kodesh leKol, but Hamavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh. And in such a situation, one would not then need to say ben Yom HaShvil l'Shema Hamaisa, because it's not Yom Hamaisa. So to be able to conclude with Hamavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh, that would be not necessary to say ben Yom HaShvil l'Shema Hamaisa. Mandam, the one that says and you have to have it similar to the beginning, samach lechasimason at the end. You wouldn't need to say it. Bein kedusha Shabbos lekedushas Yom Tov v'vdalta. You could leave out that whole phrase. Bein kedusha Shabbos lekedushas Yom Tov v'vdalta. Mandam, the one that says me'en chasimason samach lechasimason, that you have to end with an idea just before the ending. You would need then to add in that clause, meaning bein kedusha Shabbos lekedushas Yom Tov v'vdalta, in order to conclude with Hamavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh. Ben Kedusha Shabbos to Kedusha Yom Tov v'vdalta. Okay, some of the Mevarshim asked the question. Well, we seem to break this rule every time we make Havdalah in the bracha of Chen and Adas. Meaning, we say Atachan Antan L'Madata Resecha, and then we don't end with anything to do with Das before the end of the bracha Baruch Atah Hashem Chen and Adas, and that's the Achronim point out that maybe because once we've already got the Medbe'ah of Havdalah, we're not going to change it in the bracha of Chen and Adas. But that is a kasha. Okay, now the Gemara asks the following question on the conversation that we just had about the minimum of 3 and the maximum of 7. Gufa, says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Oshia, in the name of Rabbi Oshia, Hapoiches lo yivches mishalosh ha'mosif lo yosef al sheva. If you are saying the minimum is 3, and if you're saying the maximum is 7. Meisive. And we have an objection as follows. The Brisa tells us that if you are saying Havdalah on Motzei Shabbos and Motzei Yom Tov, over Motzei Yom Kippurim, and also on Yom Kippur, over Motzei Shabbos leYom Tov, and going from Shabbos into Yom Tov, over Motzei Yom Tov l'Chol HaShamayim, and from Yom Tov to Chol HaMoed, meaning all of the different Havdalahs that a person could possibly make in the year. Aval lo b'Motzei Yom Tov leShabbos, but you don't make a Havdalah that goes from Motzei Yom Tov into Shabbos, because you are upgrading your Kedushas there. Haragil, and one that usually says Havdalah Omer Habre, says as many points of distinction as possible. She'en Haragil, if you're not used to it, Omer Achas, you only need to say one. What does that sound like? You can say as many as you want, and that the minimum is one. So what happened to this 3 and 7? Tonight he says the Gemara, no, this is the Machlekes Tanoim, the Amar B'Yochanan Benan Shel Kachim, Omer Achas. The says Rabbi Yochanan, Benan Shel Kachim, the children of the Kedoshim, say only one. We're going to have to find out who that is in a moment. Who is the sons of the Kedoshim? V'nagu ha'am lo'omer shalosh, but everybody else is 3. Man niu Benan Shel Kedoshim. Who exactly are these Benan Shel Kedoshim? Rabbi Menachem bar Simai. This is Rabbi Menachem bar Simai, who was known as the sons of Kedoshim, meaning he was known as the son of Kedoshim. Why? V'ama korele Benan Shel Kedoshim. Why is he called this? Because he never looked on the image of a coin. He never looked at the picture on a coin. He didn't look at any pictures. Because he was choshesh. He was choshesh for pictures of Avodah Zarah and pictures of znus. He never looked at the tzura of a zuz. He was very makbid on what his eyes were looking at, and therefore he was known as the children of Kedoshim. The Tosfos asks the question, well, hold on a second. Why are we saying that he is called the children of Kedoshim? If he didn't do this, you should say that he's a Kaddish. So the Tosfos says that this was it must be that he was a Kaddish because his father was a Kaddish, and this is a way of giving cover to his father. Okay. Shalach le Rav Shmuel bar Idi, says Rav Shmuel bar Idi, Chananya achi omer achas. My brother Chananya only says one, but the halacha is not like it. Meaning, Rav Shmuel bar Idi says that my brother thinks that it's correct just to say Baruch atah Hashem hamavdu b'kodesh. That's all that you need. You don't need to say anything more than that, and that is not halacha. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Hamavdil, a person that's making Havdalah Tzarach Sheyomi Me'ein Havdalah Samuris B'Torah, has to say phrases of Havdalah that are said in the Torah. That's where we get these Havdalahs that exist. Now the Gemara is going to challenge this. Hold on. Meisive, we have an objection against Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Seder Havdalahs Heach. What exactly is the order of the Havdalahs? Omer Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'chol, person says Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'chol, ben Or L'chayshech, ben Yisar La'amim ben Yamim Shil L'shesh Shemei Maaseh. Those 4 we know about. Bein tamil tahar, between that which is impure to that which is pure. Bein hayam charava, between the sea and the dry land. Bein ma'im l'yom ma'im tachtanim, between the upper waters and the lower waters. Bein kahanim l'levim v'Yisraelim, between the kahanim, the levim, and the Yisraelim. Also Havdalas. V'chaysem b'seder bereshis, and the conclusion is with seder bereshis. What does it exactly mean? The Havdalah ends with seder bereshis. So Rashi says Baruch seder bereshis. Blessed is the one who arranges creation. And in all of these psukim, it says the word, the verb that's used lahavdil, to separate. Ben kodesh, ben hakodesh, ben hachol, ben hatam, ben hatar. Ve'avdel elokim, ben ha'or, ben hachoshech, ve'avdel, ben hamayim. Meaning, anytime that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says havdalah, that Hashem says that there is a distinction, that Hashem separated, those are the things that we're saying, and Baruch Soid Bereshis, that's the end of the bracha. But Acherim tell us, B'yotzer Bereshis, not Baruch Soid Bereshis, but Baruch Yotzer Bereshis. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Yehuda, says not Soid Bereshis, not the orderer of creation, and not the former of creation, but what you end with is Baruch Mekadesh Yisrael. That's how Rabbi Yehuda says, Baruch Mekadesh Yisrael, blessed Hashem, who is sanctifying, who is making the Jewish people transcendent. V'im Isan, if this is right, Habein Hayam Lecharava Leksiva Bei Havdalah. Oh, hold on a second, says the Gemara. All of this is good and well, but nowhere in the Torah does it say the word Havdalah between the sea and the dry land. That doesn't happen. Says the Gemara, yeah, you're right. Some Mikan Ben Hayam Lecharava. Take out the phrase "bein hayam lacharava." That is not accurate. That should not be part of the brisa. Yihachi says the Gemara bein yom hashvi l'sheish ma'amayse nami. Well, if that's true, so there's no word havdalah between yom hashvi l'sheish ma'amayse. What the Torah says is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mekadesh yom hashvi, not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mavdil between yom hashvi and the 6 days of creation. Says the Gemara, no, me'in chasimehi. That is in order to conclude with the theme that we are going to be finishing the bracha. Says the Gemara, if that's true, if that's true, then there are only 6 phrases that we said and not 7. Where are the 7 phrases? Amri, so I would say, Kohanim lelevim v'Yisraelim etrei mili ninu. There are in fact 7 Havdalahs between Kohanim and Levim, and Levim and Yisraelim. Those are 2 separate things. Those are 2 separate Havdalahs. bein Levim liYisraelim, because the pasuk says with regards to the Levim and Yisraelim, dichsev beis hahi hivdil Hashem es shevet halevi. At that point in time, in Sefer Dvarim, Hashem separated out shevet halevi. That there is a havdalah written in the Torah between Levim and the rest of the Jewish people. Says the Gemara, bein Kahanim Levim, and where do you have the source that between Kahanim and Levim? There's also havdalah. Dichsev, the pasuk says, bnei Amram Aaron u'Moshe v'Avdel Aaron lahakdisha kodesh kodashim. Says the Gemara, we have a Mefurish pasuk that, and this is a pasuk in Divrei Yomi, that Hashem, with regards to the children of Amram, bnei Amram, that the sons of Aaron are listed as Aaron and Moshe, v'Avdel Aaron lahakdisha, that Aaron is separated to be Mekadosh, as Kodesh Kodashim. So if this is all true, good. What exactly would be the conclusion of this lengthy bracha of 7 clauses? Rav Amarav says, Mekadosh Yisrael. You end with Baruch Atah Hashem, Mekadosh Yisrael. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says, Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'chol. That is the correct way of finishing. Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'chol. Says the Gemara, Light Allah Abaye. Abaye cursed us. He cursed us. He hated this idea. He hated the idea of what Rav said. Mekadosh Yisrael. That's what he was rejecting. Leid Allah Abaye. V'item Rav Yosef. And V'item Rav Yosef. And some say it was Rav Yosef. Ahad the Rav on that which Rav said. Why exactly did he curse us? So that I want to point out because when you finish off the bracha saying Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadosh Yisrael. So maybe it sounds like that once Shabbos ends, now the Jewish people have Kedusha. Only now we have Kedusha. Shabbos is Kaddish until the Jewish people are not Kaddish until the end of Shabbos, then it's Mekadosh Yisrael. And there are those amongst the Chachamim that suggest maybe what's going on here is because the Christians came along and they hijacked Yom Rishon Shabbos. And if you end with the bracha Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadosh something, no, it has to be Hamavdil. To separate, to say that what we had was Kaddish and now this is Chol. But if you start off with saying Mekadosh Yisrael, they think that they're the new Yisrael. It sounds a little bit apikoristic. It sounds like you are supporting the view of the Christians, and that's why the response was so strong. By cursed us, and some say Rav Yosef cursed us because of that. And Hashem, we will continue with Tanam Mishmei, the Rabbi Shua ben Chananya. We'll continue with that tomorrow. Hoping that everybody has a beautiful day and looking forward to seeing you then.